as has already been said, my name is Trevor Boland. I am what's called an Assistive Technology Officer. So, for a lot of people, you may never have heard of assistive technology or what an assistive technology officer does. But in a nutshell, an assistive technology officer is their role is to support students with disabilities and match different technologies to their needs. So, depending on the student and the technology, sometimes it can be really simple, really quickly, and sometimes it just takes a little bit longer. So essentially, our role is about just helping you to be the best version of yourself while you're in college through the use of technology. So it's really, really positive. I love the role, and I've been an AT officer now for about 10 years. Sorry, next slide. So when it comes to technology, there is loads of technology. We are immersed in technology from very early in our life to even currently. So even here, we've got some Google tools. Generally, everyone's got a Gmail account of some sort, and generally everyone's already part of some kind of streaming services already for recreational and functional reasons. We're using technology. Next slide. So even more social media, more streaming. So we are saturated with information and options coming from all different angles about how to relax, how to entertain ourselves, how to use our time. And assistive technology is another one of these types of technologies that we're going to be talking about that we integrate into our lives. And then I have another slide, even more options again, food, etc. So we are expert users of technology. We are consumers of technology. We have expectations of things working well, being functional, being operational, effectively doing what their function is telling them. And assistive technology is kind of the same. It serves a specific purpose where it operates in a way to help us to be the best version of ourselves in college. So if we go to the next slide. So I find sometimes when new students who are fantastic, when they come in, very often lots of different technology experiences. A lot of them, it's their first time hearing about assistive technology because maybe we are sort of a little bit fragmented in Ireland about the message of assistive technology. So when it comes to tertiary education, which is either further or higher education, sometimes we're just hearing that message about assistive technology for the first time. So it just takes a little while for that message of assistive technology to permeate. But essentially, what we're trying to get students open to aware of is if you're a student with dyslexia, you may have never thought of using assistive technology before. And generally, I don't know why, but iPhones are really super common. So if you have an iPhone, your iPhone is made almost for students with dyslexia. So more often than not, for the last 10 years, I talk to students about looking at their personal devices and exploring the assistive technology like options that exist in their own devices. And for some reason, in Ireland, we're not great at having these conversations with students at very young ages. So, anyway, that's hopefully changing. But if we go to the next slide, we see that ahead have this amazing assistive technology resource, which the function of AT Hive, that's the name of the web resource, is to draw attention to assistive technology because there's lots of information written out there about assistive technology. And sometimes when students explore it first, they get a bit overwhelmed because there's so much. So the purpose of AT Hive is to have a focused repository to take the stress out of it, to be open and inviting, and allow you to explore at your own pace what assistive technology is and how, when you self reflect using the tool, you can actually figure out maybe a few opportunities where you can use assistive technology to support your own learning, whether that's reading, writing, organization, um, different websites or apps to support procrastination. There is, I think, 12 different categories of assistive technology within AT Hive. And it's an open website. You don't have to log in. You just use it and you can go. Okay, so the next slide. And then, like when we use AT Hive, I've had this question a few times from staff and students about the purpose of AT. So really, in a really simple way, lots of people have written about what AT is. Lots of students talk about the purpose of AT, and essentially, it is about bridging that gap between um, a gap within, say, a function. So for me, I have dyslexia and I have ADHD. So I've been writing an essay this morning, and my spelling and grammar is terrible. So I use something called Grammarly to create that level playing field. So as someone with dyslexia, I need assistive technology to help me with my spelling and grammar. So, and that's it. And then I'm at a level playing field with my peers who don't have dyslexia. I also have ADHD, so sometimes I'm a little bit disorganized, and that's okay. So I have to use things like my Google Calendar to really help me use my time efficiently every day. Because when I have a plan, I stick with it, and I've noticed that I'm very goal orientated. So for my ADHD, a goal orientation strategy really helps me. So that's essentially what it is. AT creates that level playing field. And if we go to the next slide. So then we've got loads of different types of assistive technology. Assistive technology is this term which somehow has escaped our culture. We are avid users of assistive technology since we were tiny. So even for myself, I'm wearing my assistive technology on my face. So my AT on my face are called my eyeglasses, and they help me to see the screen. So I need my technology, my assistive technology, to help me see better. In our primary schools, we may have used pencil grips. My mother used a walking cane that assists her to walk more effectively. I have to use post-its to stay organized. That's one of my strategies, my non-technology strategy, but it's still considered an assistive technology because it's a tool or implement or strategy that I use to assist me in doing a task. And then low tech issue or low tech AT, like spelling and grammar, that again, we've grown up with our whole lives. These are all different types of tools that are considered or categorized as assistive technology. But for most students, I would say, like when they come to tertiary education, it's the first time they've heard the term. So it just means they just need to reflect a bit about how that use of assistive technology is just this normal part of culture where we're all using assistive technology for loads of different things every day. And if we go to the next slide. Oh yeah, this is a big favorite of mine. Students that I've worked with have tried this, so I get positive feedback. So for students who like to break down tasks, sometimes, and I would definitely be that type of student myself, as well as a staff member who needs to break down tasks that can seem really big. So Goblin Tools is a free website where it has this feature for free. And if you go to Goblin Tools, you can insert like the essay that you have to write or the presentation you have to plan, and it will break down the stages. And it does a really good job of that. And it uses a little bit of AI in that as well to help break down that task. And then even within a task in the breakdown, you can break that task down even further if you need extra support with that. So that's one of my go-to tools with students, Goblin Tools. And if we go to the next tool, the next, this slide is about a web page all about assistive technology in DCU. So each, I would say, university or college or further education center, more than likely, I would say, have a web page dedicated to assistive technology. So they pretty much look like the one that I posted the link for here. And essentially, they're going to mostly help with reading, writing, different strategies with how to focus in class, maybe getting you to look at the different devices you have. So if you have a Mac laptop or a Dell laptop or an iPhone or an Android phone or an iPad or Samsung tablet, there's going to be different tools and options available within those. So generally, that assistive technology web page is going to have ideas and a chat with your assistive technology officer. Again, the term changes a little bit for different colleges or universities. So it could be an assistive technology coordinator, an educational technologist. The term varies, but essentially our roles are very similar or are the same. So if we go to the next page, oh yeah, this is the big thing that students have told me about last year. Curiosity is one of the biggest skills you can possibly bring to your college experience. And what I want to say about that is like generally, the college experience is a little bit new, bit different from secondary school. So one of the ways in which students have told me that's helped them is when they come to the disability service, it really helps if you're the student who already is aware of what, say, those gaps are. or those challenges are within your learning. And for me, as an AT person, that really helps me. So if someone comes there like I find reading a challenge, I can't sustain reading for longer than 10 minutes at a time. Um, that is great. That's music to my ears because then I already know even a few free technologies that either exist in Google or Microsoft or even on your phone that can help with that. And then even curiosity about how your college or university works. They all operate a little bit differently, but kind of the same. So it's really good to check out the web pages of that university or college or wherever it is you're going to study and see, and explore. Just take the time out to figure out how it works, how you contact the different services, who the people are, what their roles are, and then how you might tap into them at different times. So just a little task, a little activate that curiosity. And then finally, curiosity in regards to assistive technology. So one of the things that I get people to do is think about note taking. So if you're a student who gets on great with note taking, and paper is one of the best ways of note taking. So as an assistive technology officer, I use tech, but I also, even right now, I've got a notebook beside me, and my notebook is dictating little ideas that I randomly have because my ADHD brain loves to just fire out little ideas, which I know I have to write down instantly or else I forget it. But between paper and technology, I have found my system. So Google Docs is one of my go-to things. For reading, with my dyslexia, I definitely need reading support. Reading, I don't find the most exciting task, but things like Immersive Reader in Word helps me a lot. I have an iPad, so that inbuilt reading tool, which again, AT Hive has information about. So please explore AT Hive. And then writing, there's definitely free Google dictation tools in Google Docs. Organization, knowing a browser. So if you're using the Google browser, Chrome, sometimes students just have a little gap about knowing how a Chrome browser operates, how there's bookmarking tools that save different web pages. Because more often than not, I see students having web like the browser open with about 60 or 70 different tabs all across, and they're afraid to shut it down because they're afraid they're just going to lose all their tabs. Well, using a bookmark tool is a great way of just saving all these links where you don't have to have 60 plus web pages done. And then students kind of find that a bit stressful having that amount of web pages open too. And then procrastination, how do we alleviate that? And that looks differently. And again, that AT Hive resource by Ahead, that does an amazing job of getting you to think about different strategies using technologies or assistive technologies to help you with that. Is there another slide or is that it? Oh, so, oh my God, I went down a lot. So keeping in touch about that curiosity, being curious about yourselves, being curious about how you learn, being curious about how that college or university or further education center is going to look and operate, and being curious about those different roles within the disability service. Basically, in a nutshell, whenever an issue is small, so let's say the reading issue as a small one, if that's becoming an issue, there's absolutely email or contact your disability service or your assistive technology and kind of say I notice I'm struggling or it takes me longer to get through readings. That is a great time to link in with your assistive technology officer and express that small concern. Because sometimes when students, especially just first years, take a little bit of time activating or acting on that issue, that observation they make of themselves. So, and sometimes that small problem then over a couple of weeks or months just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So, my favorite advice for students, and students tell me, is that come to meet up with your disability officer or your assistive technology when problems are small because they're easy to fix. But if small problems over a few weeks or months keep growing, that's when they say, so it's still okay to contact your disability service or assistive technology when a problem gets big. But no matter how small the problem is, definitely feel free to link up because we love it. I love small problems. I like big problems too, but I love small problems because they're easy to fix. Um, that's it. So I think, is there another slide? Oh my God. Oh, thank God. Okay. So thanks so much for listening. Check out the resources. Feel free to come to me with any questions. I'll put my email address in the chat, but basically it's trevor.boland dcu.ie. And I've put that in there. And thanks so much for listening. Cheers.